Could you expand upon what does neoliberalism look like in relation to CS education, and what might we as educators actually do to combat that?
Yeah, great question. I think in CS education, I think neoliberalism for me falls in answering some of the questions that we should be asking. For example, who created this and for what purpose is one question. Who is paying for this and what do they hope to get out of this when they're paying for this? And do I even know who I can ask these questions of?
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that there's a move to individualize and to make things about individual choice or personalization or data analytics being faster, better, somehow more effective. And we just don't have the research on that. What we do know from the research is that learning is a social practice that we do with other people, not something that is customized by data analytics being measured. So I think we can see some of the results of these products often having promises about their effectiveness, which are not based in any sort of data, or if they are, they're based in the analytics from the same company itself. So in some ways, we don't put those innovations through the same scrutiny that we even do for a social studies textbook, if you will.
Right.
And then I think we're, increasingly asking students to turn over their personal data to these corporations. That gives me some pause. One of the most close to home examples of this right now is that our state has decided to require an EdTPA exam at the end of our teacher education program. So even though these students have come in and they've taken their tests, they've done their student teaching, they've passed all their courses, they still have to videotape themselves, fill out prompts, send it away to a company, pay that company an extra $300 or $400. These are pre-service teachers trying to make it through a graduate program. They don't have a lot of extra funds. And then it's an extra few $100s to a corporation to externally score it and send it back to them about whether or not that they can become a teacher. So the stakes are very high. And what's been particularly insidious is that this exam, like many others that occur across K-12, keep our teachers of color from getting teaching licenses. So our Indigenous teachers are having a harder time passing this. Our native Spanish language speakers are not passing a Spanish-speaking portion. And those are our teachers who we hope might become computing teachers or diversify the teaching force. And then so you can look at it through who do we allow to be the teachers in these classrooms, to what are some of the neoliberal forces that allow a superintendent and a test-taking company make a curriculum deal that trickles down that may or may not be a good idea.
Yeah.
So I think we have lots of those examples about what happens when decision-making is made at the top. It doesn't bring in educators who know the communities, no teaching and learning, no curriculum, and ultimately, answering those questions about who is benefiting and what do they hope to grow out of this. I think in computer science specifically, what is truly problematic is that we're often funding in terms of this illusion of a pipeline or the idea that these people are investing in computer science education. They're not investing in literature or language arts, right? Because they're hoping to have a more technologically knowledgeable workforce and so on. They're not concerned with the struggling students in the class. They're concerned with the top, creating conditions that will be their future workforce that are the cream of the crop.
Right.
So in some ways, we start reproducing the social norms of technology industry, which have those characteristics of whiteness and patriarchy. And so I think that neoliberal cycle of having these same corporations fund schools, fund programs, and then hope that those people come back into that same industry can, perpetuate some of the inequities and exclusions that we see in the field.
This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast is from episode number 67, which is titled Exploring Computer Science with Joanna Goode.